Okay, doesn't seem to be on. Oh, it's on now. That's the delay. Okay, thank you, members. So we move on to agenda item number 1 on the agenda, which is the election of the chairman of the council. Are there any nominations for the election of the chairman of the council? Councillor Brazil.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Guy Pannell.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Thomas is second. Yeah. Are there any other nominations for the position of chairman of the council? If there are not, we then move to the vote. So all those in favour of Councillor Pannell, please show.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Chair.
Therefore, Councillor Pannell is duly elected as the new chairman of the council. I have great pleasure in declaring that Councillor Pannell is duly elected as chairman of the South Hams District Council for the ensuing municipal year. Thank you, members.
I now have to make a declaration of acceptance of office. I, Guy Pannell, having been elected to the office of Chairman of South Hams District Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Number 2 is the address by your new chairman. Firstly, a warm welcome to all returning and newly elected members, and my commiserations and thanks to those candidates who were unsuccessful in the recent elections. I'm confident you will find serving here a rewarding, exciting and stimulating experience. I know we will all want to do our best in the interest of the South Hams and our residents, and I will do all I can to foster a spirit of cooperation and friendship, albeit with some lively political debate. I trust we will find new ways of working together in partnership, and where members disagree, I hope we can do so in a constructive way without personal rancour. The same applies to our relationship with our officers, who I'm sure you will address with the respect and civility they deserve at all times. If I exude any air of seniority, it's only because I am senior to everyone in years, even Councillor Taylor, and in no other way. In this council, we are all equals, and I will endeavour to champion the interests of all members, both in and outside of the council chamber. I feel greatly privileged to be invited to take up the role of civic leader of South Hams District Council for the coming year. For someone who covered his first council meeting as a cub reporter 57 years ago, yes, it's been a long road, but a rewarding one. This is an honour I certainly didn't anticipate when Cathy and I moved to the South Hams more than 50 years ago. We have lived since then in Ivybridge and South Brent. Our daughter Sam, who's with us today, was born a few hundred yards from here at Broomborough, although unfortunately our son Ross is a Janner. I have explored and come to know and love so many parts of our beautiful district. I've stood on the banks of the Tavy at Worley Point, on the far western edge, at sunset. I've walked on Dartmoor to the headwaters of the Plym, the Yam, the Erm and the Avon, and sat at Dartmeet just a stone's throw from our northern boundary, surveying the vista of Holne Moor. I've enjoyed the grandeur of the Dart Valley from Coomstone Tor, and while driving a steam locomotive on the South Devon Railway, or filling the role of station master at Staverton, where our whole family helped to run the station. I've fond memories of our visit to the creamery in Totnes, sadly no more, and of volunteering with the National Trust at Colton Fishacre near Kingswear. I've driven the deep lanes of Ditford and North Hewish, where little seems to have changed since Saxon times. We've walked the coast path, swum and sunbathed on our beaches, taken passage up and down the Dart, crewed a Salcombe yawl, sailed up the Yam after a stormy voyage past the Mewstone. I remember visiting HMS Cambridge, the former Royal Navy Gunnery School at Wembury, and then of flying over it in a Canberra jet bomber. Just as exhilarating was abseiling and boating at Fort Bovisand. I worked at Langage for 17 years, and I have, of course, Councillor Hopwood, sampled the delights of wonderful Woolwell. More than once, as well as those of the Sergeant's Mess at Bickley. I've played rugby in Totnes, Dartmouth, Kingsbridge and Salcombe, and of course in my own club at Iverbridge, which Cathy and I helped to found. There's been cricket from Bitterford to Holberton and from Cornwall to Dartington. I've reported on the Modbury glove hanging, I've run in the Modbury Mile and the Iverbridge Beacon Race. There's naturally been the pleasure of eating, drinking and shopping in so many of our ancient and attractive towns and villages, and especially of serving my own community in South Brent in many ways. In my year of office, I will do all I can to promote the well-being and reputation of our council and of the South Hams. I've chosen for my charity the RNLI, the Royal National Lifeboat Institution. Both sides of our family have links with the sea. I'm descended from 3 generations of lighthouse keepers. For those who remember the old song, yes, my great-grandfather really was the keeper of the Eddystone Light. My father served in the Royal Navy in the First World War, and Cathy's great-grandfather was a sea captain. I'm conscious of the great service the RNLI provides to the South Hams with lifeboat stations at Salcombe and Dartmouth, and lifeguards on our beaches to help keep us and our visitors safe. I hope you'll support this good cause and that you will also join me for 1 or 2 social events in the coming year. Finally, staying with the nautical theme, I hope you'll all bear with me as I learn the ropes of chairing this council. I will grasp all your names in time, although not necessarily always in the right order. That, I think, is all I need to say at this moment, and we move on to item 3, a vote of thanks to the retiring chairman. Would someone like to propose the vote of thanks?
Yeah, can I propose, Chairman, a vote of thanks to Lance Austin? And can I say a few words at this stage, Chairman?
You can.
Just to say, I'd like to thank Lance for everything that he did for the council, and in particular his chairing of this council, because although we may have had our political differences, I thought he did an absolute first-class job and helped to see the council through some tricky debates and periods and things like that. But I think overall he was a credit to himself, a credit to this council, and I wish him well.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Thomas. Would you like to say a few words, Councillor Thomas?
I'm going to kneel for you, Lance. And it's not often I've said that. No, I just want to completely agree with Councillor Brazil. You know, we started a year ago in a chamber that was sometimes, you know, tempestuous in its political disagreements, and this is before Lance was chair. I mean, and we were. It would be no surprise to Lance that we were perhaps slightly concerned that he would go into the chair and he would carry on those political paths. And of course he didn't. What he did was he proved to be an absolute exemplar of how to leave party politics at the door of this room. And he did so not only fairly and reasonably, but he also did so with humour as well. And I think, you know, ploughing through these meetings, you need a little bit of that as well. And I think he set you a fabulous example to follow, Councillor Pannell, that I know you will. But I think we all owe him absolutely a debt of gratitude. Thank you very much, Lance.
Thank you. I call on Mr. Austin to say a few words. Thank you, Lance. And as Councillor Thomas said, you set a very good example, which I will try to emulate. Thank you. Item 5 is the appointment of the Vice Chairman. Do we have any nominations, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Bernard Taylor as position of Vice Chairman.
Are there any other nominations? Do we have a seconder?
Happy to second, Chairman.
If there are no other nominations, can I ask for all those in favour, please, to show?
That's 27 in favour. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. I therefore have great pleasure in declaring that Councillor Taylor is duly elected as Vice Chairman of the Council for the ensuing municipal year. Congratulations. And you now have to sign the acceptance.
I need to read it. I, Bernard Taylor, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of South Hams District Council, declare that office upon myself and will duly, faithfully fulfil duties of it in accordance to the best of my knowledge and ability.
We now move on to item number 6 on the agenda, the minutes of our previous meetings. It is necessary for the Council to agree as a correct record and authorise me to sign the minutes of the meeting of the Council held on the 30th of March 2023 and the special meeting of the Council held on the 13th of April 2023. Will someone please so move?
I so move.
Councillor Taylor has moved, Councillor Thomas has seconded. All those in favour, please show. Those are accepted. Thank you. Item number 7 is declarations of interest. Members, you are invited to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and non-registrable interests you may have in any items of business to be considered at this meeting. In doing so, could members please state then the nature of their interest? Are there any declarations? I see none. So we move on to item 8, which is the election of the leader of the council and the chairman of our executive for the 4 years from 2023-24 onwards. Are there any nominations?
Yeah, could I please?
Councillor Taylor?
Yeah, could I please nominate Councillor Brazil as leader of the council?
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Lee? Bonham? Yes.
Could I second that, please?
Are there any other nominations? If not, we'll move to the vote. Can all those in favour of Councillor Brazil please show?
That's 27 in favour. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any abstentions? No.
One abstention. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I therefore declare that Councillor Brazil is duly elected Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Executive for the 4-year term up to the annual Council meeting in 2027. Councillor Brazil, would you like to come forward and say a few words?
You can take his chair now.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, fellow councillors, for putting your faith and trust in me. And I hopefully over the next few years I can repay that faith and trust. 3 weeks ago, as I said at the count when I was elected, is that I hoped this would be an inclusive council, and as such, I'd like to start here today with our executive. I'd like to announce, that Dan will be my deputy leader, and then an executive of the two Johns, Denise, Victor, and of course Dan. And I'd also like to thank Jackie and Nikki for accepting my invitation to join the executive. So thank you very much, and I hope that we go on. That I wish that to see that when we come to decisions and making decisions, that every single councillor will make their own mind up, not bound by party allegiance or political dogma, but doing what's best for their communities. And in that sense, I don't want us to be like the Punch and Judy show or the Yahoo politics that we see up at Westminster, that we approach things with an open mind, with a preparation, being prepared to listen, to compromise where necessary, and to make and to go forward with a sense of consensus. Of course, we're going to disagree on occasions, and I welcome constructive debate. But during those debates, I hope that we will listen, we will compromise, and where necessary, and this will be an administration of consensus. Of course, we have our priorities that we have laid down in our manifesto of housing and the environment and the biodiversity crisis, but we must also make sure that we don't lose sight of our statutory duties, the rubbish collection, the planning, the mundane issues that actually most of the residents here want us to see us do well, and we must do that well and do that the best. But I think that it's absolutely crucial that we build on, if you excuse the pun, and continue the good work that we've done on housing. And in respect of the environment, I'm delighted that John Mackay is leading for us on the environment. And I know that he will put forward a plan and strategy that will make us an exemplar council in respect of the environment and protecting biodiversity. I think finally, I'd just like to say thank you and tribute to all the councillors that haven't been returned for whatever reasons. I have to say I'm delighted to see Kathy here, who when I first joined 20 years ago, she was my group leader then. We've come a long way, Kathy, and it's because of people like you that I'm here today. And in that sense, I'd also like to thank my friend and colleague, Keith, who isn't here today, who retired, but who has been a wonderful support to me and mentor throughout my career as a councillor. And the last tribute I'd like to say is to my predecessor, Judy. We didn't necessarily agree politically on everything, but I think we had the same aims, and that was to work for our communities, to work for the South Hams. And I think that she was an excellent servant to the South Hams and did that to the best of her ability, and I salute her for that. And I look forward to the next 4 years that we can continue much of the work that she started, and that this council will become an exemplar council to the rest of the country as to how we can work for our communities, to deliver for our communities the things that they want, putting party politics aside, and to make sure that we do the best that we can. Thank you all very much, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you over the next 4 years. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brazil. Councillor Hopwood first.
Thank you, Chairman. The first thing I've learned since becoming an opposition member is that there's no slotted annual council for us to have a say. So I appreciate you indulging me to say a few words. Yeah. So, and it's nice on this side of the chamber, I have to say. Ish.
Councillor Hopwood, it would not be a council meeting if you didn't have a few words to say.
Absolutely not. Let's carry on as we have before. Councillor Brazil, may I be the first to congratulate you on becoming leader of Southampton District Council. I'm sure you will agree with me that although you have taken control, some extremely talented Conservative councillors lost their seats, and they will be a hard act to follow. Over the past 4 years, the Conservatives rarely had a member missing from a meeting. I really hope your side can do the same. You are taking on a council that has a balanced budget, healthy reserves, and a clear vision through Better Lives for All. Please use the Better Lives for All document, as it is how members and residents will be able to measure how each executive member performs within their portfolio areas. Importantly, for residents, the foundations have been set for a successful, fully implemented recycling service from October 2023 to those residents who are on the old scheme. And I look forward to you seeing this through to these residents. In 2024, the joint local plan will be reviewed. Remember that parts of the South Hams are within the Plymouth part of the local plan and not the Thriving Towns and Villages document. The JLP has, on the whole, been a successful document, apart from, of course, PLY 44, which adds an urban expansion to Woolwell. When reviewing, do so with a clear vision and don't make unnecessary changes. Any changes that enhance the document even further will be welcome. This is the first time in 24 years that the Conservatives have not been in control. So remember, the South Hams is a precious part of the country which we are lucky to live in, with rolling countryside and beautiful beaches, as well as pretty towns and villages. Treat it with care, and remember, you are only babysitting, because in 4 years' time we will take back control. Your every move within this council will be scrutinised. I have your bold, somewhat ambitious manifesto as my screensaver, which and I will and will remind you, whenever appropriate, of what you have promised the residents of the South Hams, just in case you forget to fail to deliver within these 4 years. Having said all that, it is my wish as leader of the main opposition group that we all work together for the benefit of residents. And I am glad you remember what you said to me when I congratulated you on results day. I will judge my time as leader as being successful if I can lead by consensus and give and take with all members, feeling able to vote for what is on the table. And just to finish, there's my screen.
Thank you, Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you.
Councillor Hawkins, did you want to say something?
Can I just say I would like to wish Julian every success in the next 4 years. You and I have worked closely together to a certain extent, and I know you share most of my aspirations for the South Hams and vice versa. I would like to wish you every success and your team for the next 4 years, and I look forward to working with all of you. I would just like to add, if I can, your chairman's speech was fantastic, and it was obviously clearly from the heart, and you care about the South Hams like we all do. So good luck, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hawkins.
Chairman, could I just make a point of information? I've been asked to move my seat, which I'm going to do so, but I just make a quick point of information. Yeah. One can only see one screensaver if one isn't working, Chairman.
think we'll move on to the next item.
Good time, Chairman.
Which is item number 9, representation on political groups. This is a political item. Officers have been informed of the formation of 3 political groups on the council, these being the Liberal Democrat group, with its leader being Councillor Brazil, the Conservative group, with the leader being Councillor Hopwood, and a Green Party group, with its leader being Councillor Hodgson. There's 1 Labour Party member and 1 non-aligned independent member. As a consequence of the political composition of the council, a table is shown on the screen, if you can read it, which I certainly can't from here, thank you, which sets out the legal position and makes recommendations about the allocation of seats to council bodies for the 2023-24 municipal year. Is a member now willing to move the recommendations regarding the allocation of seats, but not the appointments, as outlined on the screens?
Happy to move, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil has moved. Seconder? Seconder, Councillor Hodgson. Do members wish to raise any issues on that? So can you please show if you are in favour?
That's unanimous. Thank you, Chair.
Move on to item number 10. That is obviously carried. Obviously, item number 10, the appointment of members and substitute members of bodies of the council. Members, your attention is drawn to the list showing nominations for membership of the various council bodies put forward by the leaders of the political groups. Is someone now prepared to move the nominations as indicated on the published lists?
So moved, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil. Is there a seconder?
Yeah, happy to second, Chairman.
Councillor Thomas, thank you. Members, it's my intention to vote on these on block, if that is with your wishes. If you are happy, we will show all in favour, please.
Thank you, Chair. That's unanimous. The appointments are shown. Thank you.
Was that unanimous? Thank you. So that is carried. Item 11, election of chairman and vice chairman of the bodies of the council. Members, we now move on to the list of nominations received from the leaders of the political groups for the positions of chairman and vice chairman. Would someone please move acceptance of the nominees on the list as published?
So moved, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil, thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Second, Chairman.
Councillor Thomas. Again, can we please all show those in favour?
That is also unanimous. Thank you, Chair.
That is carried. Move on to item 12, appointment of representatives to outside bodies. Members, you have before you a report that contains 2 recommendations and includes a list of the nominations from the leaders of the political groups for the council's representatives on the various outside bodies. You will see there are 2 outside bodies for which there are more nominees than positions to be filled. I will deal with each of these first. For the position as the representative on the Devon Authority's Strategic Waste Committee, there are 2 nominees, Councillors Brazil and Hodgson. This will need to be dealt with via a show of hands. So we have a choice between Councillor Brazil and Councillor Hodgson. Those in favour of Councillor Brazil, please show.
That's 24 in favour. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. And those in favour of Councillor Hodgson, please show.
And 3 for Councillor Hodgson. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. I therefore declare that Councillor Brazil is our representative on that body. As a result of the vote, the unsuccessful nominee will now go forward as the nominated substitute for this outside body. For the position as representative on the Heart of the South West Devolution Joint Committee, there are 2 nominees. Councillors Brazil and Hodgson. This again will need to be dealt with via show of hands. Those in favour of Councillor Brazil, please show.
That's 25 in favour. Thank you, Chair.
Those in favour of Councillor Hodgson, please show.
And 3 in favour, Councillor Hodgson. Thank you, Chair.
Are therefore,
Me.
oh,
One there. I think it was 4.
4 in favour, Councillor Hodgson. Thank you, Chair.
thank you. I therefore declare that Councillor Brazil is our representative on the Devolution Joint Committee. As a result of the vote, the unsuccessful nominee, Councillor Hodgson. Right, okay, thank you. So in this case, thank you. I can't read that from here. But the substitute on that committee will be Councillor Thomas. Thank you. Can I ask now if someone is prepared to move the remaining recommendations?
Happy to move, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil has moved. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, second, Chairman.
We have a seconder. We shall vote on that. All in favour, please show.
Thank you, Chair. That's unanimous. The remainder on block. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. On to item 13, the appointment of governance boards and panels. A list has been circulated showing the governance boards and panels to which the Council currently appoints. Members are firstly asked to agree to the principle of these boards and panels being established, as shown on the list. We will then need separate votes on the proposed size and the appointments. Therefore, is there a proposer for the boards and panels to be established as indicated on the list?
Yep.
Oh,
happy to
Councillor,
propose. Or second. whichever.
right. So Councillor Bernard has proposed and Councillor Brazil has seconded. All in favour, please?
That's unanimous for the list. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. So that is obviously approved. Is there a proposer that the size of these boards and panels is as proposed on the published papers?
I'll propose that, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil has proposed. The Vice Chairman has seconded.
Yep.
Can we please show again if you are in favour of that?
Thank you, Chair. That's unanimous for the size of those. Thank you.
Thank you, that's clearly carried. In light of these decisions, members will note that the number of nominations to serve on the Joint Local Plan Partnership Board exceeds the 2 vacancies, and we will therefore need to deal with this matter first. Now, members, you have 2 votes in this round of voting for 3 candidates. I think this could be confusing, and by show of hands, I suggest that the best way forward would be by a recorded vote. And remember that when you give your choices, you nominate 2. You vote for 2 of the 3 candidates, who are Councillor Brazil, Councillor Hodgson, and Councillor Thomas. So we'll proceed to a recorded vote on that, Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. So therefore, members, in alphabetical order, Councillor Abbott.
I vote for Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. Councillor Allen.
Councillors Brazil and Hodgson.
Thank you. Councillor Bonham.
Councillors Brazil and Thomas.
Thank you. Councillor Brazil.
I'll just vote for Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Carson.
Councillor Brazil, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis.
Councillor Brazil, Councillor Thomas.
Councillor De Winter.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Thank you. Councillor Domit.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Hancock.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Hawkins.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Hodgson.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Hodgson.
Councillor Hopwood.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Lawford.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Long.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Mackay,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Munoz,
Councillor Brazil, Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Nix,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Callaghan,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Oram,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Panel,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Penfold,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Cresswell,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas. Apologies, Councillor Brazil and Councillor Hodgson.
Councillor Rake,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Steele,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Taylor,
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Councillor Thomas,
Abstain.
and Councillor Yardy. Apologies. Councillor Cooper.
Councillor Brazil and Councillor Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chair. That's therefore 25 votes for Councillor Brazil, 4 for Councillor Hodgson, 22 for Councillor Thomas, with 1 overall abstention. So therefore the 2 nominees which have filled the places are Councillors Brazil and Councillor Thomas. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. Can I now have a proposer to appoint the remaining members as circulated?
So moved, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil, seconder, please.
Second.
Oh, yes, Councillor Hodgson.
I'd just like to put forward Councillor Allen for the partnership. I did send it through to Dowd, I only got it through late last night, so I'd like to
Chairman, can I just say we're happy to accept that. We'll take Councillor Eadie off that.
Very well, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Brazil. Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. So with that amendment, can you please show if you are in favour of the appointments as listed?
Thank you, Chair. It's unanimous with 1 amendment. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Item 14 is exempt information. Members, I'm not aware of the need to divide the agenda today. Item 15 is urgent business. We have no urgent business to bring forward. Item 16 is the appointment of independent persons. Members, you have before you a report that seeks to reappoint a number of independent persons to support the Council in dealing with standards complaints. Can I now invite the Monitoring Officer to introduce the report? Mr. Fairbairn.
Thank you, Chairman. Members, those of you who attended the Code of Conduct training will be aware that in the course of the training I referred to the need for the Council to have arrangements for dealing with allegations that members had breached the Code of Conduct, and those arrangements had to include at least 1 independent person. The Council has in the past appointed the 5 people who are named in paragraph 2.5 of the report as their independent persons, and we have shared them with West Devon. The functions of those independent persons are set out in paragraph 2.3 of the report. Members, I'm asking you to confirm their reappointment. All members have, all the independent persons have confirmed their willingness to continue. And as the report notes, given that it is a while since the positions were formally advertised, then it is proposed at that there will be a formal process that will be overseen by Audit and Governance Committee, and that the Audit and Governance Committee will then make recommendations to full Council. But for the moment, to enable the arrangements to continue, I'd ask you to confirm the reappointment. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr Fairbairn. Are there any questions on what Mr Fairbairn said? Councillor Hodgson?
Yes.
Sorry, Councillor Hodgson first.
Yes, I'm a bit concerned about the lack of gender balance, and especially when it comes to things, you know, some of the dealings that happen with the complaints. I think we do need that balance in there. I mean, it's, to be honest, what we've been looking at and the listings that have gone forward that have all been passed through so far this morning, there's not much gender balance going on. And I think when we reappoint these, I'd like to see that proactively, positively favoured, please.
Councillor Bonham.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Can I ask Mr Fairbairn when the 5 people were appointed and how long an appointment normally runs for? Thank you.
The appointments, the history is somewhat confused and predates my appointment as monitoring officer. The people that are identified there have been appointed over a number of councils, and certainly has been always my intention that there would be a reappointment process. They're normally appointed for the term of the council. We will have, of course, go through the formal process. Will publicly advertise and will possibly pick up further candidates to pick up the point that Councillor Hodgson was making. But clearly, these people have gone through a process in the past and have done a sterling job. I'm just asking members to confirm the reappointment for the time being whilst we go through a process. Thank you.
Could I ask a second question, which is,
briefly, please.
Is it possible to appoint them for a shorter period than 1 year?
It's entirely up to members. I potentially would suggest that we appoint for the term of the council and put in place the arrangements for appointment through a formal process. I know it is difficult to appoint people. I know from experience elsewhere, and other authorities have had the same trouble. So I would encourage us to appoint for the full term, and then pick up with the new council.
Thank you, Mr Fairbairn. And I think the point about gender balance I'm sure is one that will be taken on board. Is a member now willing to move the recommendations as outlined on the screen?
Yes, so moved, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil, seconder, please. Seconded by Councillor Hodgson. Thank you. All those in favour, please show.
That's 27 in favour. Thank you, Chair. None against.
And no abstentions. Any abstentions?
One abstention.
One abstention. Thank you very much. So that is carried. We move on to item 17, the Council Constitution. Members, you have before you a report on the Council Constitution. Can I now invite Mr Fairbairn to introduce the report for noting? Mr Fairbairn.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, as members will have picked up through the training, there have been various references to something called the Council's Constitution. The Council is required by law to have a constitution. The constitution is to set out the Council's standing orders, its code of conduct, and other things that the Council considers appropriate. The Council adopted the current version of the constitution in July last year, following a lengthy review. There is a duty to keep the constitution under review, and since the council adopted the constitution, there have been some changes made under delegated powers, and they are set out in Appendix A. Members, I'm aware of the manifesto commitments, and I have been in discussions and will continue to have a discussion with the executive lead, Councillor Birch, with regard to a process for carrying out that review and bringing a report through to the Audit Governance Committee with a view to a recommendation being made back to Council. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr Fairbairn. Members, at this stage, are there any questions on what Mr. Fairbairn has explained? Is a member willing to move the recommendations as outlined on the screens?
Happy to move, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil,
Second.
seconded by Councillor Thomas. Do members wish to speak on this? Thank you. So members, will you please show if you are in favour?
Thank you, Chair. It's unanimous for the noting recommendations. Thank you.
Unanimous, thank you very much. And we move on to item 17, the council constitution. No, we've just done that. It's 18, yes. I'm not the first chairman who's done that in this chamber, I know that. Okay, so we're racing towards the finishing post. Item 18 is honorary alderman. Members, you have before you a report that presents a draft honorary alderman protocol for adoption. Can I invite the Head of Democratic Services to introduce the report, Mr. White?
Thank you, Chair. The Council has the ability to confer the title of Honorary Alderman upon previous serving elected members that are considered to have given eminent service to the District Council. It's within our gift to define what we mean to be eminent service, and the proposed criteria has been drafted at paragraph 3.1 of the published agenda report. Assuming the recommendations are approved today, the next step will be then for me to write to group leaders to seek their respective nominations. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. Ask a question, Councillor Hodgson?
I wasn't going to ask a question. I was just going to suggest that isn't it time we moved on and actually included the term women in there
Can we?
as well?
This is just questions at the moment.
Okay.
Thank
Well, it was
you.
a question. There's a question mark at the end of that. Isn't it?
So, right. You started by saying it's not a question.
Well, it's okay. It's just, well, okay.
Yes. Carry on. Just repeat that, please, for those.
Is it not time we started to incorporate the term women in these titles as well? I certainly wouldn't want to be an alderman. Thank you very much. But not that I'm likely to be, not that I'm likely to be offered, given today's so far.
They've just killed your chances. No, fine. That's an interesting point. Thank you. Is a member willing to move the recommendation on the screen?
Chairman, could I ask
Councillor Taylor.
Councillor Hodgson what she would prefer?
Okay, we'll move on. Well, I think that's something that maybe those who are looking at this can look at and see whether adapting the title is desirable or not. I think that's something.
I would just propose that we have aldermen and alderwomen. Why not?
Well, we can't propose that. This is questions at this moment, but I think that's something that will be looked at. Well, we haven't got to the proposal yet. Councillor Long, do you have a question?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a question for those independent members who are not members of group as to the process for nomination of aldermen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Do you want to take that? Just to say, I will also write formally to Councillor Long and Councillor Cooper as well.
Thank you very much. Right, so we now move to the recommendation. If someone is willing to move that recommendation.
Happy to move, Chairman.
Councillor Brazil, seconded by Councillor Taylor. And I think Councillor Hodgson wishes to speak on this.
Thank you, Chairman. To make it simple, I would just propose that rather than calling it Honorary Alderman of the Council, we call it Honorary Alder of the Council.
Sounds like a tree.
Oh, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, I don't know if we want to vote on this now or whether this is something that can be discussed amongst the parties to see if it can be.
Chairman, if it helps, I'm happy to second Councillor Hodgson's proposal because the appointment would simply mean that if you were a man, you'd become an older man, and if you were a woman, you'd become an older woman, and I think that's entirely appropriate, Chairman.
Or you could have older stroke man or woman.
Well, that would be entirely up to you, Chairman, but it gives you the flexibility, doesn't it?
Mr. White, do you foresee any problems with that?
The only thing I'd say, Chair, is to my knowledge, it is actually a legal title to be an alderman. So it would need representations to be made to change that.
That might be difficult. I think we can vote on what we would like, but I think we will have to be bound in the end by what is legal, and we can always make representations. So we had a proposal and a seconder for the amendment. Do you want that added to the recommendation on the screen?
No,
Mr.
we didn't do an amendment, sorry.
So, as move of the motion, I'm happy for that to be part of the substantive motion.
Thank you. Can you just put that up on the screen, Mr. Knight? Sadly, obey the law. I suspect our monitoring officer will advise us, but we can make representations, and I'm sure informally we can call ourselves as we wish. So that amendment has been accepted by the proposer and seconder. If nobody else wishes to speak, oh, Councillor Hodgson.
Well, I appreciate this has been put up, but I think it's not indicating why. It just sort of sounds like we're just changing it an honorary alderman to something else. I think we have to have, be revised to honorary alder.
Thank you. You happy with that as proposer?
Yeah, very happy with that, Chairman.
And seconder? Yeah. In that case, we shall put it to the vote. All those in favour, please show.
That's 26 in favour of the three recommendations. Thank you, Chair.
Any against?
One against. Thank you, Chair.
Any abstentions?
And an abstention. Thank you, Chair.
Right, one against and one abstention. Therefore, I carry that as amended is carried. We move on now to item 19, which is reports of bodies. I'm not necessarily inviting the chairman of various bodies. Sorry. Oh, Councillor.
I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid the Green Group need to leave at the moment. We actually have to go to the mayor making at Totnes Town Council now. So if you'll excuse us, we need to leave the meeting. Is that okay? It starts at 11:15.
Yeah, hopefully this will only take a couple of minutes. So if you'd like to stay to the end, but if you slip away, we will forgive you. Thank you. I was in charge. I'm not inviting necessarily the chairman because things have changed since the last meetings, but these are for noting, for overview and scrutiny. The reports, I'm asking Councillor Thomas to present these.
Yeah, Chairman, happy to present the minutes of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee of the 16th of March for noting.
Any problems, any questions? No, thank you. For Development Management, I'm asking Councillor Brazil to present these.
Chairman, happy to present the minutes of the meeting on the 5th of April 2023 for the DMC.
Are members happy with these? No questions, thank you. And finally, the Executive, Councillor Hopwood, you were there.
He's just said that to me, sorry. Just to the minutes of the executive of the 13th of April, I think there was one recommendation in there to council. Was there, or my? It's already been done. Okay, thank you for noting.
Any questions? Any problems with those? Thank you very much, Councillor Hopwood. And that just about concludes our business for this morning. Can I remind members that we would like a group photograph on the lawn? I'm sorry if the Green members won't be there, or the Totnes members, I should say, won't be there. And Dartington members won't be there. But you're in a Totnes capacity. to advise members that there will be lunch served in the Repton room. In fact, as it's not quite 11 o'clock, it's going to be a very early lunch or a nibble. And apologies. Yeah. And apologies wasn't on the agenda, so I would like to ask for apologies to be recorded. Do we have any apologies, Mr. White?
We do, thank you, Chair. We had apologies from Councillors Birch and Jackson, who are currently on the Teams call, and Councillor Eady. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. White. That's recorded. And just to advise members that our next meeting is on June the 29th. And I'll see you all hopefully shortly on the lawn for our photographs straight after the meeting. Thank you very much.